this debate started, and joining us in the studio we have Michael Fabricant, Conservative MP for Lichfield. Michael, nice to see you as ever. Where do you stand on the question of MPs having second paid jobs as well as being an MP?
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong in having a second job, providing it is a second job and not the main job, because you must be, first and foremost, a Member of Parliament. But, having said that, I think if you've merely got a second job because you're a Member of Parliament, so you've gone to a wealthy company and said, look, I can advise you how to get legislation through, I can advise you what the government's up to, I can even get you meetings with senior ministers. That is wrong. However, when Keir Starmer, and there was nothing wrong with this in my view, when Keir Starmer became an MP, he was able to do it because he carried on doing legal work. That was the second job, but not related to his being well, he wasn't at that stage, not related to his being an MP.
So that was fair dues, you think?
I think it's fair dues. If you've got skills, you're a doctor, a nurse, or some other thing which is not connected with Parliament, and you want to keep your hand in, not just for the money, but to know what the latest thoughts are in that area, I think it actually gives a benefit. Providing that, as I say, you don't spend so much time on it, it takes away from the day job.
And the question is, how much time is too much time? So Geoffrey Cox, who was Attorney General, has registered almost £900,000 in the last year for around 1,000 hours of legal work. So he's not got a paid directorship or consultancy or lobby or any of those things, but he's... Well, is he spending too much time?
I think, Gloria, a lot of people keep focusing on his £900,000, whatever the figure is, and the fact that he earned a lot of it in the British Virgin Islands when I was doing remote voting from Lichfield, which I think is far more glamorous, actually, than the Virgin Islands.
Certainly better weather.
Certainly better weather. You don't get hurricanes in Lichfield that often. I don't want to be, a little bit too certain saying we don't get hurricanes, because I remember years ago when I was in Brighton when we did have a hurricane, and they said we wouldn't, but we're going off the point. It's not so much what you earn, it's the hours that counts. And you asked me, Gloria, how many hours? I mean, I don't think we've decided yet in Parliament, and that's to be debated. My own view, it's got to be a darn sight less than 50% of your working time. So, I don't know, 30%. I don't know whether that 1,000 hours, did you say it was? Was that over a year?
In the last year.
Yeah. I'd have to get my calculator out to ask you,
Oh, Liam will be able to work it out. He's an economist. 1,000 hours a year, how many is that a week?
No idea.
Turns out Liam Halligan is not Carol Vorderman. Who knew?
Well, about 20 hours a week, isn't it?
Well, that seems a lot to me.
Yeah.
That seems a lot to me,
But would the rules... You see, are the rules that are going to be introduced, are they should they just focus on the paid directorships or lobbying consultancies, or should there be rules on the number of hours too?
No, there most definitely should be on the number of hours.
Right, OK.
But actually, I brought along as a prop, because it looks good on television, because you've got the letter heading.
Yeah, there it is, Downing Street.
Which camera should I... There we are. Downing Street. And he does actually say, this is the letter that the Prime Minister wrote to Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker, and he said... Activity outside undertaken by an MP, whether remunerated or unremunerated, that's an interesting point, by the way, should be within reasonable limits. But, of course, that,
Well, how long is a piece of string?
Absolutely, but that's something we can decide in Parliament and should not prevent them from fully carrying out their range of duties, which means you've got to be there in the House of Commons. He said, speaking to you from the studio in The Point, which is not actually that close to the House of Commons. But...
Not a million miles away. We'll let you off, as long as you don't spend too much time in the studio. Yeah. Michael, what's the mood on the Tory backbenches? MPs I spoke to last night say there is concern, there is discord, if you like. The Prime Minister has made huge amounts of money as a writer, as an after-dinner speaker. You've got other jobbing MPs who don't command his huge speaking fees, who don't have his fame. He's seen, isn't he, to have made a bit of a mess of this issue, whipping MPs to do one thing and then U-turn.
So I speak to you as someone who was in the Whip's office, both opposition and government, for 7 years, and before that, I hasten to add, Gloria, a shadow DTI spokesman. And one thing I learned is you whip House business as opposed to government business at your peril. What do I mean by that? Government business is when you're passing government legislation.
And often there's a manifesto commitment to
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And house business is all about, you know, how the house runs itself.
Yeah.
And if you start whipping that, there'll be troubles. And boy, were there troubles this time. And Boris accepts it. In fact, it's interesting. I can reveal tonight, I'll probably be thrown out of the house.
This lunchtime.
I could reveal, this lunchtime. You see, we do such long hours.
I could reveal it because we want to bring Graham Stringer in.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, right, okay, right. Well, you didn't tell me there was a time limit. That Boris will be addressing the 1922 tonight.
Yes, indeed.
At 5 o'clock.
Oh.
That's all Tory MPs, just to explain to our viewers.
Yep.
There's going to be some grumpy ones.
There may be, there may not be. Often
you
it's
one?
a huge anticlimax. No, actually, you know,
no,
people
yeah,
make
you're right,
mistakes.
you're right. We need to-
I love Boris.
Michael Fabricant, Conservative MP for Lichfield. God, I never thought he'd shut up.
He's going to stay with us. He's going to stay with us.
For your time. Michael Fabricant, you're still here.
I'm still here. I was listening to Graham and I agreed with every word he said. I'm going to pick up Gloria on something, because you made actually a factual error that many journalists have made. When we voted, indeed, this is GB News could lose its licence. No. But you said that we voted to actually overturn the decision.
Well, you did.
We did not. What we voted...
You voted to set up a... OK, sorry.
Yeah.
We can have a row. You can...
Let me have a word.
Yes.
This is far more interesting.
Imagine presenting with her.
What we voted for was we thought the procedure, and I won't go into it now because that will be a bit boring, was seriously flawed. By the way, he was judged. So we were setting up a committee. We were not changing the rules. What we were going to do was set up a committee to look at actually the way we would not have a judgment
Jacob Rees-Mogg said you should never have combined those two votes in one. So that
was a mistake.
Exactly.
But he wouldn't have got off because, in my view, all that would have happened, it would have delayed the inevitable by about 4 months. So trying to get him off was not the point. A lot of people, including Charles Moore and various others who wrote in the Telegraph, explained why it was so badly handled, the inquiry, and that was the problem. And that's why I voted for it before I even knew it was being whipped, which was the big mistake. It shouldn't have been whipped.
Michael Fabricant, MP for Lichfield, thank you very much
You'll
for
never
joining
have
us.
me back on again.
Oh, you are welcome anytime. You are welcome anytime.
He's practically moved in, crikey. We've heard what some of our guests think. We've heard in particular what one guest thinks.
He thinks I'm wrong. I mean, it's outrageous.
I'm not having that. Back off. But we want to know, of course, what you think about our big debate today. Should MPs have second jobs or not?